It's for AllSports Podcast.
The NBA regular season is finished.
Exciting, man, exciting. Honestly, as a Denver Nugget fan, so much has happened this season.
What?
Listen,
Hold
all
on.
right?
Hold on.
I
This is
support the
news.
Lakers.
This is news to the whole community.
Do you know what?
You don't support the Lakers. So
I
you
do.
own all Lakers shirts. You talk about the Lakers with such a passion and haven't spoken about the Denver Nuggets all year until Jokic.
I'm a massive Westbrook fan, but I also love LeBron James. Miss Westbrook from the OKC days, of course, but that's a while ago now.
Yeah,
So
he's not who he was.
he's not who he was, as we know, but I've really enjoyed watching him play with Jokic this year. I think that.
As a Denver, you can't start with that as a Denver Nuggets.
I tried to throw that one in there, but if I'm being honest, still rooting for the Lakers. Because LeBron James, Luka Doncic, two players who excite me. They have an understanding of the game, the way they play the game the right way, they approach the game. There's so many reasons as to why I love Westbrook, really. But for this year, the matchups for playoffs in particular, it's really exciting. The last game was.
Well, play-ins, yeah, go play-ins first.
Yeah, obviously we've got the play-ins first, but I think some of the playoffs already set. Denver have Clippers, Celtics. Actually, we don't know who Celtics are facing, but Bulls have the Heat. Also, we've got I think Lakers facing off with Timberwolves. So a lot of exciting bits with the playoffs coming through. But I
Yeah,
think
not easy. The Western Conference is interestingly, although they stand less chance overall, the Western Conference is very tight. I think anyone can beat anyone in the Western Conference, whereas I think anyone in the Eastern Conference will beat the Western Conference.
interesting you say they don't stand a chance. Overall, given your Celtics bias, but we'll say.
I'm, yeah, I am biased. There's OKC in the West,
Yeah,
and that's
do you know what? I don't even think OKC even the best team in the West. I think they've got an exciting team, but experience will always come into play when it comes to the playoffs. We're talking about a team who haven't really, not a lot of players in there have actually played in the playoffs. And so it'll be quite challenging for them to see how they adjust, as well as just how they take the moment, even if they do get past the first round. Like, as they get deeper into it, when they start to play with less players, you're going with 7-player rotation, 6-player rotation at times. It does get challenging because now teams have time to plan, plan for your schemes, plan for how your players are going to play. So
yeah.
it's interesting, but I think OKC aren't, while they've dominated the regular season, I don't think they're a team to watch this year.
Yeah, I'd agree because the NBA Cup spoke volumes. I think when they were actually tested and came under pressure in a
Yeah.
championship game,
Mm.
Shea went missing,
Yeah.
and he does go missing in the big games. He can score 50, 60 points against the minnows,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to playing the big dogs like he's going to have to in the next couple of weeks, this is his first real test.
They're gonna
Canadian,
get really
Canadian Shea.
they're gonna have to get really creative, and also be interesting to see who they play in the first round because the West is stacked. And to your point, I do agree.
You say stacked, it's competitive. I don't think it's stacked.
Every team has a chance. Like realistically, every team's got a chance. Clippers have Harden and Kawhi, who's playing unbelievable the last couple games. Lakers, of course, you've got LeBron James and Jokic and Luka Doncic, so you've always got a chance. With Denver, with Jokic, you've always got a chance. OKC, of course, Shy, like as we rightly said, always got a chance there. Who else? With Minnesota, you've got Anthony Edwards,
Uh-huh.
special player. Made, I
Yeah.
think was it 8 threes last night.
Yeah, which is where I'd be worried for the Lakers because he can play 7 games like that. He's playing within his box to do that.
Yeah, that's probably the one series I'm most excited for, the Lakers Timberwolves. 'Cause just Anthony Edwards, you just never know what he's going to do. I mean, he dominated KD in their matchup. When they faced the Suns last year. So I feel like
Yeah.
this year he probably do the same. He's almost like the Giant Slayer. He goes out there, puts in, gives you 40, 50, and his celebrations afterwards as well, man. He's just got it. To me, he's the face of the league right now. I know there's talk about Ja coming back, especially with his celebration, where he's where actually I can't say too tough about his celebration on here, but where he's throwing the grenade and and almost going for cover. He's clarified that actually recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with a lot and of course can't count out the Warriors, man. Steph Curry. Now you've added Jimmy Butler to the mix. My
The
goodness,
the the problem with Golden State Warriors is they're in the play-in tournament.
the
So
last.
they've got to play the Grizzlies. That's not
Yeah, Ja Morant.
Is it a
it's
one-off?
just
Is it a one-off game?
So they face the six.
play-ins one off.
Yeah,
So
one
you've
up.
got
But you got
ninth versus 10th, loser goes out. 7th versus 8th, loser plays the winner of 8th versus 9th. 7th seed then plays the second seed, and the 8th seed, who lost their first game and won the second, they then will play the first seed.
so you could have
So
Warriors.
you get a second chance. So if you qualified seeding for 8th, you get a second chance if you lose that first playing game. You with me?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking at the website whilst you're talking to me as well.
Yeah. But last night, Warriors, Clippers, like best game of the season so far, with both teams going at it. You had the stars come out and show out. Jimmy Butler, well, he was on fire. Steph Curry, made loads of threes as well. I think he made about 6 threes. You've also got Draymond Green. I know he missed a layup to tie in overtime, but he was also playing really well with 4 threes. But of course, on the other side, James
Well,
Harden.
hold on, just quickly. On Warriors versus Clippers, they were going into it basically playing to be in the playoffs or the play-ins. So had the Warriors had won, they'd have been seeded 5th or 6th, and the Clippers would have dropped down and gone to the play-in tournament or 6th at worst, and it would have affected the Timberwolves. So there's a lot of permutation for the last game of the regular season that's 83 games long.
Yeah.
Incredible that it can still come down to the last game for seedings, and it did create a lot of jeopardy. And that's why Femi said it was one of the best games, one of the best games of the season, because it had the most riding on it so far.
Yeah.
Now the games just get progressively better, and there's more riding on each one.
I think, do you know what? I wouldn't be offended if not offended, but I wouldn't. I would really be excited if the Premier League adopted a similar system.
Never gonna happen.
And the reason I say that, this season, for example, the last 5 games are basically a write-off. Like, no one cares. Relegation, that's all done now. You know who's going to win the league. Even the battle for top 4 is no longer the battle for top 4, is now battle for top 5. And you pretty much know who's going to make in the Champions League. So the rest, I'll let our audience decide that one.
He makes a good point though. The league is essentially done. There's so many interesting games.
It's essentially done, man. And I feel like if we had a playoff sort of system, and I know MLS do as well. I know everyone's quick to criticize and say, "Oh, we're trying to Americanize, the beautiful game." But I think there is some element of excitement when you have a playoff style system because regardless of how the season goes, you still have a chance to win the league.
Yes, you say that, however, and rugby has switched to it. So rugby used to be whoever won the league won the Premiership, and now they have playoffs. So top 4 has a semi and then a final.
Mm.
And then your seeding counts for if you finished first, then you've obviously got home and you play the 4th, so similarly.
Yeah.
But the reason why the NBA's done it, the reason why the NBA's done the NBA Cup is because their ratings have fallen off a cliff. They've lost 30% of viewers this year. And it was down last year. They're down year on year. And it's not just versus NFL, it's other streaming services. People are watching other things. They've, like you said, Femi, he's the player. Like Anthony Edwards is
Face of the league.
Face of the league right now. I mean,
So it's kind of hard to even, not a lot of.
they're looking for a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant. Like LeBron James is too boring. He's got all the stats, but
Statement.
he can't. Well, he is boring.
I think
He's Mr. Perfect. He's not aggressive. He's not got phenomenal dribbling, and his 3-point stats are okay when Steph burst onto the scene 2016, 2017, and they dominated, and Steph was doing the 3-pointers, and that transformed the league. Since then, it's kind of been a little bit back and forth. Jokic has come in, Doncic has come in, and you've got these European players. Giannis has now come in, SGA from Canada. So there's a lot of international players. They're searching for all-American faces of the league.
I mean, to be fair, I think it's easy to say a player's boring when you've been the face of the league for 22 years.
Exactly. Yeah, it is.
I do agree. People are probably tired of it, and they need, a new young face, someone who they can rely on. I thought Jao was going to be that player. Obviously, the controversies with, the gun violence and all the sort of things, outside of we're talking a bit more about what he does off the court than on the court, which isn't the best, but I still think with Anthony Edwards, you give him the right tools, a little bit more PR as well. I think he could potentially be, the face of a league that, they're really craving for, because they haven't really got that star player, because, European players, for being honest, they just don't put bums on seats.
No.
Like the American players, it'll be interesting to see.
They get the stats, they make the plays. Yeah. Like LaMelo Ball, for example. Shame that he's been injured for the last few games and will be for the rest of the season, because he's someone that gets bums on seats. But street basketball.
Yeah, he's exciting to watch. Really, really exciting to watch for me.
So picks then for the playoffs. I'm obviously never going to go anywhere but the Celtics. But who's got you excited?
The most exciting matchup for me has got to be Timberwolves, Lakers. Probably throw in Denver and Clippers in there as well. The East doesn't excite me, if I'm being honest, because, as you rightly said, I just feel like Celtics have got that wrapped up. It's similar to when LeBron was in the East or the Cavs. You knew whoever was coming out the West was always going to face, LeBron and the Cavs. So I'm not, too excited about what happens in the East, because I just feel like the Celtics is just way better than the rest of them. And in terms of star players as well, like, no team actually excites me with their play in the East, other than Cavs, if I was to push and maybe, throw in Donovan Mitchell and his supporting cast in there. But other than that, like, they're not really a great bunch to watch. But the West, you just got so many matchups to look forward to.
Cat at the Knicks, Giannis at the Bucks.
Yeah, but Damian Lillard's, he's out for the rest of the season with I can't remember what it was, but I know he's out for the rest of the season with an injury. Without Dame, you're relying on Giannis to be Superman, against the rest of the East, which is really, it's really difficult as well. So, I don't know. It's not. It just doesn't.
Hey, well, I feel like we're a little bit down on it, so let's hope for some absolutely epic series to kickstart the NBA again. Need some big time plays from some big names, some emerging young talent as well. I can see the Celtics repeating. We've said it before. We think they might three-peat and create that dynasty, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it first, and it's not easy.
Honestly, they got to go back to back first before those sort of conversations start. But yeah, they have the right team for it. They have the right team. They have the right coach as well. He's a madman. Yeah. Honestly, he's insane. He reminds me so much of Pep. Like, they're so similar in just the preparation for the game, just his motivation, and just he says weird things in the press conference as well. They're literally the same people, just the basketball equivalent, honestly.
I think when you get asked the same questions, or you get asked like meaningless questions, they just must get so like sick of it.
Yeah.
You just fire it.
They have to answer the same question over and over again as well. You must get sick of yourself.
83 games in a season, and it's asking me about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like who's your number one, who's MVP in the team this year? Like, which one are you trading? Who are you keeping? Are you going to have to trade them? Like, you ask me that 83 times a year.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. But let's see how this wraps up then.
I mean, saying that, I think Jaylen Brown goes at the end of the season.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. Is his contract due? I'm pretty sure he signed an extension.
It's just expensive. It's very expensive having an all-star back-to-back team.
Yeah.
Then you start losing other younger talent that's going to push through over the next couple of years. Richard.
Yeah, but these are two players the Celtics actually drafted, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, so I doubt they'll just give them away so cheaply, if I'm being honest. But I think if you go back-to-back, there'll be no reason to get rid of them. More money for the franchise, more bums and seats, and they recently sold the Celtics as well. So the new owners, I'm sure, not looking to get fans on the wrong side of that. So I'll probably say he definitely stays unless they lose the final or something.
Yeah, it's been pretty clearly Tatum's team all year. Although he didn't manage to feature in the Olympic side. He just went for a holiday. He just went for a holiday to Paris last year. Yeah.
It's crazy
All
though.
right.
Players so
Go on.
special just having limited time at the Olympics. It says more about the talent the US have got, if anything.
Yeah, I think it was more about the other bigger names that were there, to be honest. Anyway, right. Let's finish off